So tell me what happened the last time you went out to eat with your friends. My guess is someone was gluten-free, dairy-free, vegan, vegetarian, paleo. They can't do starches. They have an allergic reaction to eggs. Like, food sensitivities are everywhere you look, and it's such a hot topic and just something that our world is constantly evolving into. Yet, how do you know if you have food sensitivities? So my name is Laura Shrell, and I'm a women's health and wellness strategist and the founder of the Balanced Bombshells coaching programs, where we use food and our lifestyle to balance your hormones. And so food is like your best resource to be able to balance your body. So today I wanted to talk to you about food sensitivities and how to identify if you actually have them. Because what your friend might struggle with, what someone else in your family might struggle with in terms of processing food might be very different to how your body is being impacted. And what you are sensitive to could be very different from somebody else. So food is extremely personal, and I think everybody has an opinion of what you should eat, how much you should eat, the specific foods that you should be eating, and I am all about finding what works best for you. And so when I started my hormone balancing journey, the fastest way for me to get my body to feel balanced was actually to identify the foods that were causing me so much pain. And by pain, I mean inflammation. Inflammation is the root cause to our bodies not feeling well. And so what causes me inflammation could be different from you. And so it actually comes very largely from the foods that we eat. And so I focus more on functional medicine and how to use food as medicine. And we can't really do that if you're having foods in your diet that are standing in the way from your body thriving to the point it needs to be at. And so how do you do that? So the first thing that you need to do is to start tracking what you're eating. So don't change anything about your diet right now. Just start tracking what you're eating. Write down, the foods you're eating and then how you feel immediately afterwards. And I got started doing this by using this super cute journal. I actually bought a journal for myself to just carry around with me. We're so connected to our phones and our mobile devices. You certainly can write it in the notes section of your phone, but I found it really beneficial to actually put pen to paper. And then this cute journal made me feel motivated, and it was small enough to put in my purse. And I was able to, go to a restaurant and just literally go to the bathroom sometimes and just write what I ate, because we definitely have short-term memory. So the more that you can capture it right after you eat something, the better. And so for the first week or two while you're starting to track your food, just don't change anything about your diet. Just write down what you're eating and then immediately afterwards how you're feeling. Because after you eat, you're supposed to feel energetic. You're not supposed to feel lethargic or tired or, like you want to go and take a nap. You want to feel, those are signs from your body that you didn't really eat the right things for your body. And then you can make note of any sort of reactions that come about in the next 24 hours. So did you have any acne breakouts? Did you have any bloating? Did you have any sort of mood issues? Sometimes the food that we're eating really interrupts the gut bacteria within our stomach, and our stomach, literally, if we don't have enough good bacteria in there, it steals our mood. So if you have more bacteria that's bad in your stomach, that's your body trying to fight off this inflammation from food that's not sitting well with you, and that's really going to hinder your goals and actually even your mood. So you can improve your mood through food, absolutely, once you know the foods that are causing you inflammation and pain, essentially. So then once you start noticing the foods that really aren't making you feel good, you can start avoiding them. So for example, I tried eating beans, sweet potatoes, because those are really great for hormone balancing, and my body just could not really process them. There was something in these foods that were causing these reactions within my body. So I'd immediately feel bloated after eating them, and sometimes I would start getting acne breakouts because my body couldn't keep up with trying to process out the food inflammation that my body was having. So then these things start showing up as skin irritations on your skin. So if you're having any sort of dry skin, even from your scalp, all these rashes along your body, acne, those are definitely signs that you need to pay attention to, that something in your body just isn't working the way that you need it to. And the first place to look at is your food. Because sometimes these food sensitivities, they show up in ways that we just think are normal, and they just become so common in our day that we don't think to question it. But the more you can tune into your food and how your body is feeling, any sort of skin reactions, you're going to start pinpointing the foods that are then causing it. And writing down your food is the first step. Like I mentioned before, we have short-term memory. So if you're, I'll write it down later in the day, you're not going to necessarily remember, or you might not start noticing these key points from the foods that you're eating, because you want to really pinpoint how you feel afterwards, how you feel throughout the day. And it'll even help you figure out what your food habits are in terms of like, am I eating too big of a portions that my body just can't process right now? Depending on how our body is cycling throughout the month, I usually will eat like 4 times a day through some parts of the month, and then other times, as I'm nearing my period, like our stomach muscles start contracting, so my body actually can't handle so much food, so I actually eat 5 to 6 times a day in smaller portions. So this food data will totally help you in all areas of your life. So start by tracking your food to figure out if you have food sensitivities. So for me, doing this work, I realized 6 years ago that I had a issue with gluten. So I cut gluten and felt so much better. It was just causing all this bad bacteria in my body to grow and essentially take away from the good bacteria that my body needed to be able to emotionally feel balanced, to feel sound. I also noticed I had an issue with dairy. Dairy was causing me to break out within. So you'll know if I've had like ice cream or something within 24 to 48 hours, I have a breakout somewhere on my skin. And that's because my body has an issue with estrogen metabolizing estrogen. And dairy increases the estrogen in your body. So if you have an issue with estrogen on metabolizing that naturally within your body, dairy could be causing you too much inflammation. For me, soy also did this. Soy also increases estrogen. So this is just how my body was processing them. For another woman who doesn't have an issue metabolizing estrogen or isn't as dominant as my body was, could very well be having dairy and soy and feel completely fine. And then depending on certain parts of the month, you might notice different things. So tracking your food, I always recommend my clients start tracking their food for 1 month. Definitely just get started. It's going to become more of a habit for them, and it's a great way to tune in, check in. Because I also even started noticing that vegetables were causing me pain. So from starches, so beans are starches, they're a type of legume, and then sweet potatoes, my body was having these reactions and just causing my body to bloat. During the time, I thought it was actually like hormone problems, but it was actually my body causing more hormone problems because of all this excess inflammation that I had from the foods that I was eating. So I actually partnered identifying my food sensitivities through writing very well with the Cycle Sync Guide. And so this is up on my website. I'll share the link for you, but you can partner your food and everything with how your cycle's doing. So this guide actually tells you like what your brain is doing, what your body's doing, and the top foods that you can focus on in that. And it's going to really help you partner well with how your body is ebbing and flowing throughout the month, and being able to pay attention to some of these symptoms that are coming up where it could also be food related. And so just identifying your food sensitivities is going to bring you so much peace. So when you go to a restaurant, like I'll sit there and I'll be like, okay, well, sweet potato isn't going to do well for me, so I'm not going to have it. Or I know, in very much of a moderation basis. So if I haven't had any sort of starches in a while, or I feel like having some sweet potato fries with a burger, I'm able to then do that because I know that 95% of my time I am avoiding those things, so I can indulge in those things that I really truly love and want, but in a very moderate basis. And that's just something that works for me, and you're going to be able to find what works best for you. So I actually eat paleo. That is the type of lifestyle that has made me feel my best. So, there's no legumes. It's really focusing on lean proteins, lots of vegetables, fruits, and staying away from greens and gluten and dairy. And so for me, that was just how I naturally gravitated towards. So for someone who is, a bit more sensitive to meat or to eggs, that might not be the best for them. Maybe they do a modified vegetarian diet where they also are having fish, as their protein. So there's just so many different ways that you can play with your food, and I don't think that there is a one size fits all. Like, our health and our food is so personal, and the more you can tune in and figure out what works best for you, the less overwhelm you're going to have. And you can't compare yourself to the girl next to you or to your boyfriend or your husband. Like, his body is going to process foods differently than you, and I think we're always on this lookout for this quick fix on how we can just take everybody else's ideas and incorporate them into our life. And if you find yourself on that rat race, you are going to continue to fail. You're not going to get the results that you want. You're not going to be feeling the way that you want to feel within your body, and it's just not going to work for you. To really truly be able to be one in here, you have to understand yourself, and you need to know how these foods are impacting you and how you feel, because they absolutely go into our emotional health and our well-being. And without this knowledge, like, girls, like, we're just not gonna be who we want to be. And the moment I was able to identify those food sensitivities and start moving far away from them and just towards foods that made me feel really good, you know, you just let go of all this extra pressure, you release this overwhelm from yourself, and you no longer carry it with you. That anxiety, that overwhelm, that stress of food, you don't have to worry about. So you absolutely can end the food trauma for yourself by just knowing how your body's processing food. So if you feel like you're bloated, you're getting skin irritations, you're getting moody, identify what those foods are doing and why they're causing you to feel that way. It's not that you haven't tried hard enough or you're doing something wrong. It just means that those foods aren't right for you, and that's okay. Just keep moving forward to what feels good to you. Start writing it down, and I'll share the link for the Cycle Sync guide so you can also be partnering it with how your body's flowing throughout your month, and you will just feel like a completely whole new woman. And check in with me in a week or two to tell me how you're doing. You can follow me on social media at Laura Sherrill. You can also check out my website, laurasherrill.com, for some more free resources. And like, comment, and subscribe to this channel to be able to get the most up-to-date things of what we need to do within our bodies and how to look and feel amazing. So thank you for joining me today. I was so excited to talk to you about your food sensitivities, and make sure to check in with me to tell me exactly what your food sensitivities are. You can hashtag it at #BalanceBombshells online, and we'll be able to check in and just keep each other accountable for all of our food conquests of what we're doing. And I'm just so excited to have you there, and I will talk to you later, Bombshell. Bye.